これより新たな時代における教師の在り方と題してパネルディスカッションを開始いたします。モデレーター総括を務められますジョアン・コスタエディケーション2030アドバイザリーグループ課長にお願いしたいと存じます。よろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much and welcome back after this short break. Hope you had some time to stretch a bit. And I'd like first to introduce our panelists, especially the ones that were not on stage before. You know Professor Akita by now. You know Dr. Togazaki. And we have our teachers here, Margit Timakov from Estonia and Edwin Lim from Singapore. They are also focus group chairs at the OECD Global Forum. And we have the students, Sora Sanaka and Takumi Maena, students here from Japan. So this panel is representing the community, the academics, the policymakers, the practitioners, and the students. And I don't represent anything, I'm just moderating. So the purpose of this panel and its title is Preparing for an Unknown Future, the Future Vision of Teachers and Teaching Competences, Teaching Agency and Teacher Well-Being. The purpose of this panel is that we pick up some of the key topics that were introduced in the keynote speeches before and go deeper so that this the Japan OECD seminar can also be an asset and a contribution for the teaching compass that is being designed. So we want to go deeper and to incorporate words, key messages in the teaching compass, which should point at the future. There was a sentence by Dr. Togazaki on the importance of not staying in the present but focusing in the future, and this is really what we want to know and to do in this panel. This will also be an interactive session, so we will be asking the participation of the audience and the online participants that I also greet from here. Everyone is invited to be very actively participation, and the structure of the panel will be like this. I will invite our panelists to say a few words about some questions I will ask, but you all consider that the question is also being asked to you. So you can contribute through a Mentimeter to the discussion we are having. So we'll have a couple of questions that I will be asking, and then we have time to discuss. So I will ask for the code, the QR code to be shown for the Mentimeter. There it is. So if you scan this QR code, with your phones, I'm sure there'll be one day that we look at the QR code and you get. Everyone in? Okay. So I will not have specific questions for students or teachers or policymakers. I will have one question that I will invite all of you to answer, to give your perspective. Sharp and short answers. So consider that you will have 1 to 2 minutes to reply to my questions. And then we'll also see what is the word cloud that will emerge from this big poll with hundreds of participants of this seminar. And my first question is actually based on a suggestion that Dr. Togazaki made on seeking one's own language and feeling a sense of ownership when we're talking about what being a teacher is. So, to all of you members of the panel, and also inviting the audience to enter your answers while listening to the panelists. So I will ask for your multitasking in this panel. Imagine, today we had a morning of what if, so imagine again that you are the author or the editor of a dictionary for middle school students. And how would you define teacher agency? And what I ask you is to not only provide a definition, you know how, I'm a linguist, so now I'm excited. You know how dictionaries work. You have the definition, and then you have examples. So I will ask for your definition, and definitions are short. A dictionary is not an encyclopedia. Definitions are short. So I will ask you for your own definition, and then to please give one concrete example of a moment of truth when you witnessed the when and how a teacher was showing his or her own agency. When was it? When did you experience it? Where did it happen? How did you interpret that teacher's action was a concrete example of your definition of teacher agency? So this time I will start with the teachers. And Margit, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you. So first, the definition. I think I would ask the dictionary to include the following definition. Being in control of what you do and use your power. And connecting words would be your motivation, discipline, voice, energy, action, creativity, choices, responsibility, and culture.
Thank you.
And thinking about an example, it was very difficult to think about one very specific example. I think I see it working at school. I see it on an everyday basis where teachers actually use their agency. And some teachers more than others. But one example that comes to my mind just recently, a couple of days before coming here, was a teacher who volunteered to do something, volunteered without being asked. We were working in a group, everybody had the same responsibility, and she said, I already, in order for us to work faster, I categorized these and I made a table and I shared it with you. So I think that showed a good example of taking charge of knowing what she could do, but also helping the others move forward and faster. So I was very grateful for this.
Thank you, Margaret. Edwin, do you want to follow up?
Thank you, Joel. Okay, I think all of us know the spelling of the word impossible, right? So to me, the definition of teacher agency is breaking up the word impossible to I am possible, where we can find possibilities in the impossible. And a concrete example of that will be in 2020 during the pandemic, when it first struck, right? My school, every year, we would have students from all over the world come down physically to our school for an international summit, okay, of students where we discuss issues, right, and meet to build friendships. And that year, it couldn't be done. So the teacher in charge, right, basically told the principal that he would like to create an online version, right? And the principal said, no, it's not possible, you know, to have a 6-day online version of an event. You could maybe do it for one afternoon because, you know, nobody would stand staring at the screen for more than 2 hours, okay? But the teacher wanted something rich and really meaningful for the students beyond just one afternoon. So he got together with his team of organizing students, and together they created a 4-day gameplay of events. So everything was held on Zoom and Discord. And before that, the teacher has never used Skype, never used Zoom because it was the start of the pandemic. So he was just getting to grips with all these technologies. But he and his students together did the impossible, right? And created a really engaging 4-day event, leveraging gameplay. So they created fictitious countries. Every student had a role to play a character where they enacted change. And the students thereafter did mini projects that they could do online in the safety of their home to make a difference to their communities. So to me, teacher agency is about turning pain to power, transforming wounds to wisdom, weakness into strength, and making the impossible possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. In the meanwhile, the audience, please remember that we want your one key word which you think is a part of the definition of teacher agency. It's not working? Now it is working. Okay, let's now hear the students. Sora, what are your thoughts? What is your definition of teacher agency? And what is your real life story?
私にとってちょっと難しいんですけど、先生が自分の経験とか判断をもとに、生徒の性格や状況に合わせて一番いい方法で工夫をしながら行動することです。具体例として私の経験を話すと、私が友人と喧嘩した際に担任の先生がそれに気づいて2人に合った方法を使って仲介をしてくれました。それによって以前よりいい関係を築くことができました。さらに勉強面では、私の理解度や考え方に合わせて柔軟に対応してくれて私の成績が上がりました。それは他の子にとってもそうでした。以上です。
Thank you, Sora. Now, Takumi, can you share with us?
Okay, thank you, Joan. 僕が、教育エージェンシー、僕にとって教育エージェンシーとは、自分が、生徒に、こうなってほしいっていう理想をもう自分の身をもって生徒に語ることだと思いました。で、なんでかっていうと、僕の小学校の先生ですかね。なんですがいろんなことに対してなんでそう思ったのってずっと毎回聞いてくるんですよね。でそういう先生がいたおかげで自分でどうしてこれをやるんだとか、考えて行動できるようになったんですね。で今の時代って本当にもう敷かれたレールに沿って進むみたいな人が多いと思うんで、そういった意味で自分で考えて自主的に行動するっていうのを教えてくれる先生ってすごく貴重な存在だなって思いました。以上です。
Thank you, Takumi, and thank you for sharing the story and your experience. So let's move now to the policymakers and academia. Kiyomi.
Thank you, Chair. 私の定義は、子どもたちの育ちや学びに、応答し、自律的に創造的に判断し、教材や、学習環境を、開発し、学校を通して社会の変革を実現していく専門家である というふうに、教師のことを説明したいと、思います。その背景にある、一つのエピソードです。私が、いろいろな先生たちに出会いますが、一人の、教師が一生懸命自分のクラスでなかなか学校に来にくい、授業に参加しにくい子どもがいました。それで先生は何とかしなければと思い、力の限り、彼にアプローチをしています。でも彼は生徒の、T 君は沈黙したままです。ようやく口を開いた時に彼が言ったのは、本当は僕は学びたいんだ、勉強が嫌いなわけじゃないと彼が言います。それから一生懸命先生は見守るようになります。そのうち先生の方が彼が T 君が何が得意なのかっていうことを彼を中心にして授業を組めないかと、考えるように、なっていきます。そうすると、彼がこう言うんですね。一人で勉強してても面白くない。一緒にやるから楽しいんだ。という子どもの声に先生の方が、気づいていきます。これは経験が、7年目の、先生です。彼の言葉です。自分自身が、子どもが大きく、成長するということが子どもの成長のためにとずっとその言葉を信じて肩肘を張って子どもの前に立っていた。特に体育や算数ではできるできないが誰にでも測って分かってしまうからこそこの子にできるようにしたいと思ってそれが成長につながると考えていたが、しかしそれは違っていた。子どもは大きく成長することは一人ではできない。仲間との関わりの中で、仲間と試行錯誤をして失敗を重ねる中で大きく成長していく。教師はその時教師の役割は子ども同士の関わりが生まれる単元やカリキュラムを構想したり、学習環境を整えることが大切なんだと、考えるようになった。それからこれからの教師に求めていること、それはT 君や子どもたちが自分に教えてくれたとこの教師は伝えてくれました。一生懸命自分の力で教えるという考え方ではなく、子どもに応答し、そしてその子に合った形でカリキュラムを開発したり環境を、作っていく。そして共に子どもの声から学ぶということが教師なんだなと思ったので、今の定義をお話ししました。以上です。
Thank you so much. Now, Mr. Togazaki, your thought, your definition, and your experience.
はい、この定義を言う前にですね、私大変気にしているのが、教育の言葉って非常に多義的でですね、曖昧な言葉が非常に多くて、なかなか一般の学校現場等には浸透しない、分かりにくいっていうのが一つ非常に大きな課題だろうというふうに思ってます。じゃあこの教師エージェンシーっていう言葉をお前なりに定義するとしたらどうやって言うんだっていうので、ちょっと今皆さんの聞いてて考えたんですけれども、できるだけ分かりやすい言葉でっていうふうに考えて、非常に盛りだくさんになっちゃったんですけど、子どもの成長に関わるさまざまな仕事に興味関心を持ち、自らの仕事に前のめりに、前のめりが大事なんですね。前のめりに取り組み、子どもにも助けを求めつつ団体戦で力を発揮する力と全て入れたんですけどね、無理やり。非常に不自然な言葉なんですが、その中で、いくつかそのキーワードの中にある言葉としてもちょっと時間の関係もあるので、本当に抜粋して申し上げますと、助けを求めるっていう部分については、私受援力、援助を受ける力っていうので、受援力ってものすごく大事だと思うんですよね。子どもにヘルプを求められる。これは ICT 教育なんてまさにそれがギガが始まった時はそれがスタートだったんです。 いかに子どもに教えてって言えるだけの謙虚さがあるかどうかっていうことは非常に重要なのかな。何でも上から教え込むみたいな発想だと子どもには聞けないので、やっぱりそういう力って必要なのかなって、それと合わせて子どもから学ぶっていうことは昔からそういう教師であれって言われてるんですけども、これが言うのは簡単なんですが、なかなか実現できてないっていう課題があるかと思います。それからこの、集団で団体戦で勝負できるっていうことなんですけど、どうも日本はまだまだ個人戦で勝負をしがちなところがあるんですけれども、ここの中でよく私が例に出すのは日本昔話の桃太郎の話なんですね。桃太郎、日本人であればもう誰しも知ってて、何を言いたいのかっていうのも分かってしまうと思うんですけども、桃太郎っていうのは鬼ヶ島にですね、鬼退治に向かっていく中にあって、途中で3匹の動物、猿と犬とキジって鳥ですよね、その3匹をお供にこう連れていくっていうことになって、それぞれの動物っていうのはその象徴とされているものがあって、まずその猿というのは知恵とか知識の象徴なんですね。知恵知識の象徴。それから犬っていうのは行動力なんです。からキジというのは状況を見抜く力と、これらを合わせて使うことによってですね、自分は桃太郎一人では成し得なかったことを実現して鬼退治に行けたと、こういう話なんですけど、やっぱりそういうそれぞれの持ってる多様性というものをですね、みんなの力をいかにこう借りられるか、結集してやれるかということが大事かなというふうに思ってます。ちょっと具体例を言ってる時間が多分ないかなと思うんで、ちょっと時間がないので、ちょっと言いたいこといっぱいあるんですけど、ちょっとこのぐらいにしときます。はい。
Thank you so much. And yeah, we always feel in these discussions that we would need more time because there's so much we want to share. Well, thank you all for being such good dictionary makers. I will report you to my fellow linguists who make dictionaries, and for giving so concrete and precise definitions. And if we look at the word cloud that our participants here and online contributed with, we see, let me just share the words that are in Japanese. I don't know Japanese, Miho helped me. It's about the words love, planting seeds for the future, working towards student growth. It's the Japanese part of our set of words. But we see again the word flexibility. So in order for agency to be defined and relevant, it is also about being able to adapt to the concrete situations. And this is actually what your examples valued, your concrete examples valued. But we see also words like co-creation. We see words that have to do also with the well-being, and something that Margaret emphasized over these 2 days many times. What is the identity of being a teacher? What is the identity of this working body that we have in our countries? And it is about action. It is about being proud, and this was also emphasized during these 2 days, that we have to work, also be proud of what works, everything that has been effective, not be shy to share the good practices that we have. It's about resilience, it's about empowerment, it's about granting the teachers the autonomy to make decisions. They are professionals, they know how to act. No one would tell a doctor to prescribe the exact action when the new patient gets in the hospital. But many times we tell the teachers what to do independently of the students that they have in front of them. So agency is also about trust. That's a word that comes up a lot with different definitions, but it's also in there in green. And trust gives the teachers the pride, the freedom to act, the vision, the trust in their vision, empowers them, and gives also, and Mr. Togazaki mentioned the relation with humility, gives also them the capacity to seek for help and support for a better agency. So thank you very much. These are always good contributions for our teaching compass. And let's now move on to my second challenge to our panelists, my second question, and also for the participants in our word clouds. We live, and at the beginning of this seminar today, Andres Schleicher was talking about tensions and dilemmas, but also when we are working on the definition of a learning and the teaching compass, when we are doing the balance of and finding the right balances, and we are evaluating what we have achieved in each of our countries as a whole, as a global community, in terms of education. We have done so much. I mean, I'm sorry I don't have a graph here that I use a lot. It comes from the World Bank with the rise of the population that can read and write during the 20th century. And it's so much that we have achieved in granting access to education to so many people that were for centuries excluded. So we have achieved a lot. And many times in our debates, we have this tension, which is, well, we have done so much. We have achieved so much. So why are we talking about changing? I touched upon this during my keynote speech. And think of the case of Japan. You are, and when we look at PISA, you are a top performer. So why should you change things? And Mr. Togazaki mentioned this. So when we are deciding on a teaching compass, we are also thinking of things that we want to preserve and things that we want to change. And this is my second question to our panelists. So that we build forward better, we have to find this good balance between innovation and continuity, so that we keep the word that was in the screen before. We keep the pride of our efforts that worked in the past, while embracing these necessary changes for the future. So according to your personal experience, what would you like to preserve and what would you like to change in your country? It may be at the educational system level, it may be in practices, values at the school, identity. So please pick one aspect for each. What you'd like to preserve, what you'd like to change. And those that were contributing to the word cloud, do the same, 2 words. The first one will be what you'd like to preserve. The other one is what you'd like to change. Just to give a concrete example, in my food habits, I would like to preserve chocolate. I would like to change fried thing. So do the same in your contribution. So now let's start with the students. Sora.
Thank you. 私が思う日本の残したいものは、部活動や学校行事から得られる協力と団結、そして協調性です。部活動と学校行事は学校生活で深く結びついており、大人や学校以外のとの関わりや、学校行事では一人一人の役割を果たしながらみんなで一つの目標に向かうことで、チームワークや助け合いの重要性を自然に学ぶことができます。これは将来人と互いに気持ちよく関わる上で必要な力だと思います。日本の変えたいものについてなんですが、私は学校生活の中で間違えるのが怖いと感じてしまって、なかなか自分の意見を言い出せないことがあります。これに関しては日本の学生は自己主張をあまりしない人が多いと思うんですけど、 これはその空気感の中で育っていくから、自分の自己主張しなくていいと思ってしまうからなのかなって思っているので、その間違えるのが怖いと感じてしまう雰囲気や空気感を変えていけたら、もっと日本の学生は自己主張とか自分の思っていることを言えるのではないかなって思っています。以上です。
Thank you, Sora. Takomi, do you want to share?
はい、僕が、日本でなんか残したいなんか教育制度っていうのは、なんか僕の高校だと授業の一環で、ある議題に対してグループディスカッションをするんですね。でなんか、これが何の役に立ったかっていうと、なんか僕が10日発表したようにみんなの主張っていうか、あれを計画する時もなんか一人で企画してたらうまくいかなかったんですね。なんですけど、なんかみんなでなんか一緒に考えることで、なんかこうしたらいいんじゃないとか、ああしたらいいんじゃないって言って、なんかいろんなアイデアが出てきて、なんか結果としてなんか成功したし、なんかそういった面でなんか協力ってすごく大切なことなんだなって思ったんで、残していけたらいいと思います。で逆に似たようにはなるんですけど、変えたいものはやっぱりなんだろう、今回のなんか国際会議を通して、なんか世界ってなんか遠いなっていうイメージから、なんか実はすごい近いっていうなんかイメージに変わったんですね。なんでせっかく今回 OECD の方々とも関われたので、なんか日本だけでなんか交流するんじゃなくて、なんかもっと世界の方々と交流できる機会を石川県でもっともっと増やせていけたらいいなって思ってます。以上です。
Thank you. Thank you, Takumi. I hope this is part of your dream of change, what we are having here. So let's move on now to Mr. Togasaki.
私は、先ほどもちょっとお話ししたようにですね、特に日本においては、地位徳体を一体的に育む全人的な教育という、もうこの言葉は絶対に変えたくないと、もうこれは日本型の強みであるというふうに確信してますので、ここはもう変えたくないというふうに思ってるんですが、往々にして日本の今までの教育を考えていくと、さまざまですね、履修と習得だとか詰め込みとゆとりだとか、簡単に言うと二項対立的に議論が進んできたことが非常に多いんですよね。でいわゆる振り子現象だと思ってるんです。でこの振り子現象っていうのは、物理の世界で言えば一番運動エネルギーが高いちょうどバランスの取れたところっていうのは一瞬しかないわけですよね。あっという間にその一番運動エネルギーが高いところっていうのが過ぎ去ってしまうっていう、そこにやっぱり何か考えていかなくちゃいけないものがあるんだろうなっていう思いと、それからあんまりこれを喋ってると時間なくなっちゃうので、もう一つ変えたくないことっていうことで話すると、この変えたくないっていうことも変えたくないじゃないですね、変えるべきことですね。変えるべきことっていうのもたくさんあるんですよね。日本の教育のいいところも先ほどの全人的教育以外にもたくさんあるんですけども、やっぱり課題、これから変えていくべきものっていう中に一つで言えっていうふうに言われると、この日本の教育の本当に良さっていうものが学校現場、教育委員会、国、そういうものと共有がまだまだされてないんですよね。このことが一つ一番大きな課題なんじゃないかなと思ってるんです。それぞれがいろんなことを強みなんかを言うんですけど、本当に皆さんが学校現場等々教育化されてるかというと、それがされてないことは非常に問題だ。そういうこと以外に細かい部分でっていうふうに言うと、本誌なんかではキーワードとしてずっと私言い続けてるのが3つあって、1つは正解から脱しようと、それから もう一つが脱自前主義、自前で何かやろうっていうのは出していこう。で最後にもう1つ目が脱予定調和という、何かこう予定調和的に考えていくっていう教育はやめていこうよというような、この3つの脱っていうものを考えています。で、お話今聞いててちょっと感じたことっていうのが、本当の最後ですけども、教師が大事なことって自分たちのその目の前のですね、自前の言葉、先ほどのプレゼンでもちょっと申し上げましたけれども、自前の言葉とか文化っていうものをもっともっとこう文化、さらには理論ですよね、こういったものを取り戻していくっていうことは、ある意味ティーチングコンパスにおける教師のエージェンシーの、先ほどコスタさん言ったように、その教師教職の文化のアイデンティティ、これと重なるところなんだろうなっていうふうに強く思っています。言いたいことまだまだあるんですが、ちょっと時間の関係で以上にしたいと思います。はい。
Thank you so much, Professor Gita.
ありがとうございます。私はもともと学校の先生方が学び合う、研修に入れていただくっていうことの専門にしていますので、授業研究というレッスンスタディという仕組みはやはり日本から生の、子どもたちの学びのプロセスを一緒に見るっていう、その動画じゃなくて体の感覚で実際に子どもが何を感じ考えているかを一緒に共有しながら語り合うというこの仕組みはとても重要だと思っています。残したいものです。私が覚えているのは東日本大震災の直後でした。私が関わっている学校の校長先生からメールが来ました。3月末まで私の学校はすべて学校が傾き、体育館は避難所でした。5月から開催を始めます。秋田先生、5月に授業研究に一緒に来てくれますか？道はボコボコです。でも授業研究が教師の魂であり、教師が学び合うということがなければ学校は作れませんというメールを私はいただいて、ああと思ってその校長先生の言葉に触れて、それ以来ずっとその学校に入れてもらっています。そういう意味で教師同士が学び合うというのが国際的にも広がっていっている、これを残したいと思います。しかしながら実は教師と生徒を分けていた文化が日本の中でも、例えば私が関わっている福井大の附属などでは、教師が学ぶ、生徒を見て学ぶんじゃなくて、授業の後生徒も参加して今の授業を生徒はどう感じたのか。授業研究は教師だけのものではなく、教師と生徒が共に作っていくものなんだ。子どもの声を教師も学び、一緒に聞きながら語ろうというふうに、授業研究もコーエージェンシー、教師がエージェンシーでお互いにエージェンシーだけじゃなくて、子どもと共にコーエージェンシーで授業研究を作り出し、そして学校文化としてのコレクティブエージェンシーというものを作り出しています。どうしても大人対子どもというような見方が今まで教師だからという威厳や敬意というものによって距離を置いていたところを、共に市民として学び合っていくという部分が、もちろん教師が専門家として指導するというところは大事だと思っています。しかしながらそういう発想を変えていきたい。硬直化したトップダウン型の発想から柔軟でフレキシブルな授業のシステムや学びのシステムを作っていってほしいなっていうことが願いです。以上です。
Thank you so much. And now the teachers. Edwin, Margit, you decide who starts. I give you agency for that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to use it. I think in Estonia, we are very, very, very proud of the autonomy we have for schools, and this is something that I would like to keep because of various reasons, and I'll explain why. What does it mean? We have a national curriculum, but each school has an opportunity to create their own school curriculum, which means that according to the geographical location, One school could add sailing because they're by the sea, or more hiking because they're by the forest into their school curriculum, or more languages because they're close to Finland and they want to travel and use and give opportunity for students to do so, or have dance or whatever. So I think it's very important for the schools to use the community that they're in to involve parents and then therefore create the curriculum they need and take into account the opportunities and availability of the resources. So autonomy is something that definitely we will keep, from my opinion. What I'm not so happy with, and I am very grateful to the chair that we are asked to limit it to one, because as previous speakers, you know, we would have a long list both ways, something that each country is proud of and something that each country can change. This is something which we learn from each other. This is a global pattern and global tendency. But something that I'm definitely not happy with and I would like to change is the mindset of the people in the education system who think that they do not need to develop, or do not believe that we live in a changing world, that we live in a world of, and we are in the process of VUCA. So if I could change that, I would use 1 second to change it.
Thank you, Margaret. Edwin.
If you don't mind, for this question, I'll just like to show a couple of slides because that would best illustrate what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Okay, so preservation and change. How do we balance continuity and innovation, right? Martin, who was in my group in the site visit, reminded us of timely changes and yet timeless constants. And in fact, Teddy mentioned that as a repertoire speech yesterday. And I really like what Tricia earlier this morning shared, when she said that in dealing with AI and technological changes, a key teacher competency is human-centered design mindset, because we are teaching humans, whether we use AI and technology or we don't, right? And we have to customize it to their needs, student needs and experiences. Okay. So, for example, let's say if I was a teacher leader or school leader guiding my teachers on possible class guidelines, how you would use AI for assignments, okay? We would ask the teachers, really, what is your goal, right? What skill do you want students to focus on and to cultivate, okay? Whoops, sorry. Okay, do you want them to develop practical skills, formation of personal opinion and thought, or decision making, or synthesis, adaptive thinking, etc.? Okay, what is it exactly that your goal is, right? And according to your goal, you can vary assignments that involve different degrees of AI use, okay? So it can be from no use of AI to lots of AI, right? So for example, if my objective is for practical skills, okay, developing of personal opinion and thought, I may not decide to use AI at all, right? For example, in preschool, lower primary, I want them to learn manipulators. This is really hands-on learning, no AI, all right? Or in a laboratory, I may want physics students to manipulate on the circuit board. I want biology students to actually take the scalpel and dissect a frog. A VR experience, AI experience cannot cut it, okay? So no AI maybe in that instance, all right? But if it's in terms of decision-making, maybe I might get students to generate ideas, okay? If I was a project-based learning teacher and I was asking students to address the problems of the elderly, the students may get AI to generate ideas. Okay, so what are the problems of the elderly, right? Could it be elderly with dementia, elderly who are living alone, who are lonely, elderly who are jobless, okay? And then the students could decide on the best idea to improve or adapt. If it's synthesis and adaptive thinking that I'm looking for, I may invite students to use AI to gather secondary research on the elderly, okay? And then from there, interpret, analyze the data and synthesize their ideas and argue the case. If I wanted them to develop critical thinking, all right, and inventive thinking, I could invite students to get AI, ChatGPT, to generate arguments in terms of what are the unaddressed gaps in current measures helping the elderly, right? And solutions with regards to how we can address those problems. And then from there, students analyze and arrive at the solution that they decide and conclude is the best. Or if I want to teach students AI literacy, I could tell them to get AI to generate information and then for the students to identify the biasness or hallucination. Or I could ask students, don't use AI at all for the start. Think how you would address and identify the problem. Think how you would come up with the solutions and then get AI to be a critical friend and give you a second opinion. So really for me, in terms of what I would preserve and change, is the same thing. It's teacher competency in terms of preserving this human-centered design mindset, and yet also changing by improving, enhancing, and developing and upskilling in this very important mindset. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin. And you get an applause. That's the power of a PowerPoint, you see. Okay, so thank you all, our panelists. I realize that I'm a very bad teacher because my instruction was not clear. I wanted 2 words. I wanted pairs of words. But we get an idea from what our participants would like to preserve and change. And when we have these challenges, people tend to say more what they want to change rather than what they want to preserve. But it is very important that we have this sense of what we have done well and of what we can keep doing. And we see respect, and I think it can be on both sides. When there is respect, we want to keep it. When there is lack of respect for the teaching profession, we want it to enhance it and to see it being higher. The peer pressure is definitely something that appears in the student voice. It appears when we are talking about collaboration. Collaboration is not about pressure; it's about helping each other. But we see other words or phrases here, like this opposition between the central decisions by the ministries or governments or the autonomy and, again, the word flexibility that teachers may have. This has to do with empowerment, one of the words that is highlighted there. And it's something that Margit said about something they want to preserve in Estonia, the autonomy of schools, because this is also in the cases in which there is no sufficient autonomy, we are not empowering teachers. We are not giving them actually we are not respecting their professional condition and their professionalism if we don't trust them to act. So these alternations that we see here between a center-based design for education or a flexible design, the ministers' narrow minds versus the change of mindset of ministers. It's always very popular. Having been a minister myself, I know how much everyone wanted my mind to be less narrow, and so we see, and this is the purpose of this talk, that there is this shift between what we want to preserve and what we want to change. And with this, we can go to our third and final question to our panelists. And now I will be more conventional and I will follow the order of the speakers, starting with Kiyomi and finishing with Takumi. And now it will be simpler because I will only ask you for one word. And this is really the moment in which we merge the OECD Japan Seminar with the work of the Global Forum. So based on the discussion that we had today at this panel, based on the keynote speeches, based of course on your own views and impressions and knowledge and wisdom, what is the one word, the one keyword that we would like to be highlighted in the teaching compass that we are designing. So when you see the final version, the launching day of the teaching compass, what is that one word that you would like to see in there? And this is the same question for the participants. What is the one word that you feel that is really important for the teaching compass to include? And starting with you.
Thank you, Chair. ピーターの最後のまとめにもあったんですけれども、Children's Rights、すべての子どもの学び育つ権利を保障するということがぜひ入れていただきたいと思います。去年から日本では初めて子どもの権利を守る子ども基本法という法律が去年できました。ぜひとも国際的にも子どもの学ぶ権利の保障、生きる育つ権利の保障ということをティーチングコンパスの中に入れていただきたいと思います。以上です。
Thank you very much. Mr. Tokazaki.
私はですね、一つに絞れっていうのがどうもできなくて、許していただいていいでしょうか。まずは3つちょっと申し上げたいんですけど、一つが教師の
That's cheating.
教師の社会的なリスペクト、これは絶対に入れてもらいたいというふうに思ってます。これは日本はもちろんそうなんですけど、世界的にもやっぱり課題なのかなと。あとはこれ先ほど来申し上げている教師のオーナーシップとエンゲージメントの向上、それからすいませんね、3つ目、高度、日本では高度専門職っていう言葉が盛んに、教師は高度専門職であるべきだって言われてるんですけど、この高度専門職としての自覚がないんですよ、そもそも。ですからこの自覚と当然それに見合うだけのスキルアップを持ってもらいたいということです。でもう最後の最後なので言いたいこと言いますけれども、これら3つのことをしっかりと構成していく上において何が絶対必要かっていうと、教師人材の裾野の拡大をしていかなかったら絶対ダメなんですよ。これ何をやろうとしてもできないんですね。教師人材の裾野の確保、全然一つに絞れっていうのを約束守らなくて大変申し訳ございませんでした。以上です。
Thank you so much. This concept of one word is very enriching. There's the people who write dictionaries and encyclopedias, and Dr. Tokazaki is definitely an encyclopedia person. Edwin.
Okay, my one word is something that a lot of you have actually raised, earlier on, and that's adaptability. I really loved the presentation by Dr. Tokazaki yesterday when he highlighted the example of an elementary school where the children were taught to think of themselves as ninjas, right? To be adaptable, okay? And I love watching Japanese ninja shows, right? They are, wow, it's like they can just kill in multiple ways, okay? They can fulfill their missions, depending on what the mission is, in different ways, using different weapons in different contexts, using different skills of theirs, right, to achieve their objective, okay, depending on the situation, the opponents they face, etc. And I love this concept of adaptability. Now, we have heard in the course of the last 4 days different opportunities we are facing in the years to come, and also different crises, right? This morning was all about crisis. Now, if I could just ask us the perennial question, if you see a glass that is half filled with water, is the glass half full or half empty? The answer is that it's irrelevant, because the glass is a glass that can be filled. So if we see it as half full, that there is potential, there is opportunity, we can be adaptable and leverage the potential and take things further. If we see the glass as half empty, that there is crisis, we can be adaptable and deal with the problem and rise to the occasion. So at the end of the day, adaptability, I think, is really hope in action and something that can be included in the teaching compass.
Thank you, Edwin. Margit, your turn.
Resilient.
You have 1 minute to justify.
You said one word, I was thinking I want to give time to the students, as well,
very
to
fair.
Sora and Takumi, so let them
Yes,
say.
Sora.
私が強調してほしいキーワードは柔軟性です。先生たちからすると当たり前って思う人もいるかもしれないんですけど、私たち生徒側にとっては、先生たちが、性格がそれぞれ違ってさまざまな生徒一人一人に対して柔軟に教え方や相談の乗り方を変えたり対応してくれることがとても助けになっているし、そういう先生を見るとさまざまな生徒一人一人を深くよく理解する必要があるのを見てとてもすごいなって思っています。以上です。
Thank you, Sora. And now it's Takumi's turn.
OK、僕は一言で言うなら、支え合いですかね。もっと先生と生徒の距離が近づくようになったら、お互いに協力し合って、もう先生もちょっと負担減ったり、働きやすい環境になるかなって思いますね。あとこれちょっとずるいですね、2つ目なんですけどあとはやっぱり先生はやっぱり笑顔でいてほしいですね。怖い顔してると話しかけづらいんで、ずっとニコニコしててほしいなって思います。以上です。
Thank you so much, Takumi. And now we can take a look at the words that emerge in our board. We have agency as the biggest one, but we see some of the words that were used by our panelists as well: flexibility, resilience, respect, passion, equity, pride, again the word pride, community emerging as well, autonomy, and there's one third type of dictionary. We have dictionaries, we have encyclopedias, we have dictionaries of synonyms, and then sometimes some of the words were actually used with the same meaning. When we're talking about adaptability, we are talking about flexibility, and there is no adaptability without resilience, and this is about the human right, the right to be a professional, the right to be an independent professional, the right to educate and to act as an educator. And this is also about, again, the issue of ownership and identity that both Mr. Togasaki and our teacher Margit highlighted. I was asked to finish at 5:55 sharp, so we have 3 seconds for me to thank this amazing panel for sharing with us, thanking all the organizers of the seminar, thanking the Ministry of Education from Japan. This seminar was, from the OECD perspective, seen as with great interest, because it was something that ended up being a very active contribution to the work to come in the definition of our teaching compass. So we are learning a lot from Japan all the time. We are celebrating the 60th anniversary of Japan at OECD, and be aware, because many times in our countries we don't know how the others look at us. Be aware that Japan is watched from all places in the world with great admiration and great interest for what you do in education. So every day we are learning from you, and we want to learn even more, and especially from those who are living the real life stories in every school, in every classroom, every day. So thank you all very much, and thank you to the panel once again.
以上をもちましてパネルディスカッションを終了とさせていただきます。進行のコスタ議長、そしてご登壇者の皆様、本当にありがとうございました。本シンポジウムも閉会のお時間となりました。閉会に先立ちまして、まずはルッコラ OECD イノベーション進捗計測課長よりご挨拶を申し上げます。お願いいたします。
Thank you, everyone. When I saw the program and I realized that the colleagues had given, or the organizers had given me more or less 2.5 minutes to conclude the seminar, I thought this is going to be really tough to try to wrap up all the messages from the past days and from this afternoon. As this afternoon in particular went by, I realized that actually the speakers before me have done the job mostly. And it would be actually quite impossible to wrap up all the lessons learned from the few days. In addition, we probably all of us have a little bit different lessons learned from the past few days. And we need a few days to digest all of this, to see what are the lessons learned we take home. But what I kept thinking, especially towards the end of the afternoon, is that I am extremely grateful for our Japanese host, for the speakers from Japan, which is one of the top performing education systems, for their honesty, willingness to share their challenges, willingness to say, even if we have a great system, there is always room for improvement, because this is really the kind of attitude we want to foster at OECD as well. And I'm really grateful that both the Japanese speakers and the international speakers have brought up the value of learning from each other, the value of sharing our experiences, and also solutions. So for instance, today really we heard about the challenges, but we also heard about the solutions and possibilities of going forward. And this is why at OECD we organize peer learning events, we organize these kind of gatherings. And one of our main goals is to bring people together and learn from each other, and each of us going back home and digesting and thinking, what can I take away home for my system? So thank you for all the speakers for really engaging in this exercise with such honesty that is really impressive. Then I want to thank our Japanese hosts, because we've had in the past few days many hosts, but especially considering this afternoon, I want to thank Tohoku University and the Ministry for facilitating and making this opportunity, making it possible for us to have these conversations. We are extremely pleased and impressed at OECD Secretariat for having had this opportunity to collaborate with you. And we do hope that there will be yet another OECD Japan seminar in the future, and I hope the ministry has found that this is a useful experience for you as well. So thank you, everyone. That's all I can say. I'm almost speechless here right now, and colleagues know this is rare. So thank you.
ルッコラ課長、ありがとうございました。続いて文部科学省北山浩二大臣官房国際課長よりご挨拶を申し上げます。北山課長、お願いいたします。
文部科学省の国際課長の北山です。セミナーの閉会にあたりまして一言ご挨拶を申し上げたいと思います。このセミナーですけれども、1993年に開始されて今回で23回目となっております。今回は OECD の教育とスキルの未来エデュケーション2030事業の第6回グローバルフォーラムが日本で開催されるということになったことを受けまして、同時開催とするべく企画をさせていただきました。国内外から多くのご参加をいただ だきましたことを大変嬉しく思います。本日のセミナーですけれども、冒頭、OECD のアンドレア・シュライヒャー局長からビデオでの講演をいただきました。シュライヒャー局長、お待ちしていたんですけれども、ご都合によりご参加いただけなかったということ、本当に残念でしたとお伝えいただければというふうに思います。ティーチングコンパス策定にあたっての考え方を分かりやすくお示しいただくことができました。次いで、学習院大学の秋田清美先生に、日本の中央教育審議会で、議論されております内容について、ご紹介をいただきました。その中で、この中、ラーニングコンパス、ティーチングコンパスで行われていることと似たことが、日本のその教員政策の中でも取り組まれているということについて、ご紹介いただいたことで、このラーニングコンパス、ティーチングコンパス、もう少し近く日本の人たちが感じることができるようになったんじゃないかなというふうに思っております。ジョアン・コスタ議長、これは2030の議長ということで議長と呼ばせていただきますけれども、には、ご自身大臣をされていたポルトガルの事例も引きながら、学校を支える3つの柱について、サクセス・インクルージョン、シチズンシップといったことがありましたが、それから始まり、その統合カリキュラムが必要な理由について多くのご説明をいただいたところでございます。これを一つ一つこれから消化していきたいというふうに思います。戸ヶ崎教育長には OECD 日本共同研究プロジェクトにおけるワーキング座長をされていましたが、今後のそのティーチングコンパスの策定に向けた提言をいただいたところです。日本型教育の経験からのご提言がティーチングコンパスの今後の策定作業、あとそれを踏まえたそれぞれの実践に生かされていくということを期待したいというふうに思います。引き続いてのパネルディスカッションではご発表いただきました先生方に加え、先生、教師、あと生徒という教育の当事者にもご参加をいただき、会場参加型の活発な議論をコスタ議長にリードしていただきました。これ、会場でご参加の100名の皆様、またオンラインでご参加の300名の皆様に、それぞれのお立場からティーチングコンパスについて、ティーチングコンパスを理解していただくための機会としていただけたら、主催者としては大変嬉しく思っております。でまた、本日、会場に多くの高校生が来てくれていたことを関係の皆様に御礼申し上げたいと思います。これが共同エージェンシーの一歩となっていくことを期待したいというふうに思います。それでは、締めくくりになりますが、本日の会議がより良い教育政策と教育実践につながっていくことを記念いたしまして、私の閉会の挨拶とさせていただきます。OECD 事務局の皆様、あと関係の皆様、あと通訳の皆様、本当にありがとうございました。
北山課長、ありがとうございました。以上をもちまして、第23回OECD ジャパンセミナーティーチングコンパス新たな時代における教師の在り方を終了いたします。ご登壇の皆様、ご参加いただきました皆様、誠にありがとうございました。